My name is Rachel. I'm 42 and work at a trading company. I have a precious fiancé now, and ever since I was young. My late father told me to study Spanish because it would become essential. I attended a Spanish language school and watched foreign dramas at home to become familiar with the language. In middle and high school, I was always the top student in Spanish. When I was in high school, my father passed away, leaving my mother, my younger sister Kelly, and me in a financially tight situation. I almost gave up on going to university, but my mother encouraged me, saying, "Rachel, your Spanish skills are top-notch, so you should work at a big company where you can use them as a weapon. I'll figure out the tuition. So make sure you go to college." Thanks to her support, I was able to pass the difficult Ivy League of Foreign Studies and now work at a major trading company. I always thought I should never forget the kindness my parents showed me. However, after my father passed away, my mother overly doted on Kelly, who is 10 years younger than me. When I got accepted to university, she was a little happy, but she didn't show much interest when I got a job. And she didn't seem to appreciate that it was in trading. More importantly, when I graduated from university, Kelly was still a 12-year-old elementary school student. My mother kept buying her things and praising her, enamored by Kelly's natural charm. I never received anything for my birthday, but she kept buying things for Kelly. This made me feel a strange jealousy at times. Whenever I tried to be affectionate with my mother, she would say, "Rachel, you are Kelly's big sister, so you need to be more responsible. You're supposed to be a role model for her," putting pressure on me. As soon as I started university, I began living alone. I was motivated by the favor of being sent to university and the pressure of being the eldest daughter. I wanted to live independently and contribute even a little to my mother and sister's living expenses. So I worked part-time during college, saved up. I deposited $300 from my salary into my mother's bank account every month, and $500 when I received bonuses. In my first year, I managed to put in a total of $4,000, even though I was living very frugally. However, my mother and sister never thanked me. They acted as if it was only natural for the eldest daughter to contribute that much. As I received raises over the years, I tried to gradually increase the amount I sent home. I rarely called home, and only occasionally received a little contact from my mother. I felt a growing distance between us. Even when I returned home occasionally, I didn't stay long. Time passed, and Kelly graduated from high school. Then, suddenly, my mother called me. "This time, Kelly is going to college, and I need a little more help from you." "I'm already sending money every month, aren't I?" "Well, yes. But that alone isn't enough. You went to an Ivy League of Foreign Studies. But Kelly is going to a private women's college. It's going to cost more. How much more should I add? Let's see. You're putting in $500 a month now, so I'd like 3 times that." 3 times, as in $1,500? That's impossible. Do you know how much I make? Oh, no, I mean, could you double it? $1,000? That's still tough. How about $800? That might be possible. Thank you for helping. I wanted to help my struggling mother, so I immediately deposited the money into the bank after payday. I owe a debt of gratitude for being allowed to go to college. If it helps them live better, then it's a small price to pay. However, about $10,000 a year was quite tough for me. The amount I could save became minimal, so I started doing freelance work at home. From my first job to now, about 20 years later, I've been sending money home. I don't want to talk about the total amount. As time went by, I turned 42. My mother called me again. I had a bad feeling. Next time, Kelly is getting married. Oh, that's great. I've been dating someone for the past 2 years. Well, never mind about you. Kelly is 32, right? So, we need money for her wedding costs. My mother cut me off. She wasn't interested in my life. Kelly always comes first. So, for the wedding and the honeymoon, could you help us out financially? Mom? I've been sending money home all this time, haven't I? I even increased the amount when Kelly entered a private university. Shouldn't that have added up to a significant amount by now? University. Oh, yes, that happened. I can't even save much anymore. I'm 42 now. Can't you manage somehow over there? It's really too much for me. Please, I just need a solid amount of money right now. How much do you need? Maybe $10,000? That's impossible. Oh, no, not that. $5,000 would be fine. You save $5,000 so easily, but besides the monthly support. You need that much for a wedding? Is Kelly there? Let me talk to her on the phone. Then, my mother yelled at me. You don't understand anything. I won't ask you for anything anymore. There's no need to let Kelly talk. Do you know? Recently, she's been sending us $2,000. We've been living on that. You should be grateful to your sister. My mother hung up abruptly. I didn't understand what she meant by all this. It's fine to arrange money for a happy occasion. But why did she start with asking for $10,000, then change it to $5,000? When I said it was difficult, and then refused to let Kelly talk. Claiming she's been sending $2,000? If that amount of money was available, they should have been able to manage just fine. And then to tell me to be grateful to my sister? It all seemed too incoherent. I had been sending money home for 20 years, fluctuating in amount, but consistently supporting my mother ever since Kelly went to college. Initially, she asked for $1,500 a month, which we settled at $800. When I said it was too much. This time, it dropped from $10,000 to $5,000 abruptly. Finding it all too strange, I contacted my fiancé, who suggested that I might be being deceived. It was a matter related to money, so a suggestion was made. 2 months later, various truths came to light. I learned the facts about my mother and sister and trembled with anger. Then I made 2 resolutions and decided to head to my parents' house unexpectedly. While on the train home, my phone rang with a call from my mother as soon as I reached the station near our home. I decided to answer. Rachel, you haven't sent any money for 3 months now. What's this about? I thought maybe it wasn't needed anymore, so I stopped. I need you to act responsibly. Send the 3 months' worth right now. What about Kelly? Kelly, she's about to have a wedding planning meeting. Oh, the wedding, huh? What kind of person is her husband? He's an heir to a major trading company. So, you see, she's been getting a proper allowance recently, right? $2,000 a month. Then she's set for the future, and all the more reason my support isn't needed. I'm a bit busy right now, so I'll hang up. We'll talk later. Wait, Rachel. I hung up unilaterally. My mother tried calling several times after that, but I ignored her. When I arrived in front of the family home, my mother and sister came out dressed casually. I followed them discreetly and, though I knew it, they entered a casino near the station. After about 2 hours, they came out looking pale and sighed together. I approached them from behind. Mom, Kelly. Did you enjoy planning the wedding? What? Rachel? Rachel. They were both very surprised to see me suddenly. What are you talking about? Wedding planning? Just. Kelly, what are you saying? We chose a wonderful venue together, didn't we? What? Mom, what are you talking about? I'm not getting married. Kelly, you know what's going on. Choosing the venue is important. Their stories were so inconsistent, it was full of holes. I continued. Wow, so wedding planning meetings these days are done in such casual sweatpants? Is Kelly's fiancé also dressed like that? That's because I'm not getting married. That would be impossible, right? Since there's no fiancé. Mom was saying he's the heir to a major trading firm. Mom, what are you talking about? Well. Recently, I heard Kelly has been sending $2,000 a month to you, Mom. That's impressive. How does she manage such a large amount? It's definitely impossible for me. If I had that kind of money, I'd spend it on something else. Right? I would do the same. It seemed my mother and sister hadn't coordinated their stories well. This was a trap my mother had set for me all by herself. Kelly? About the wedding planning, no, the casino planning, was it fun? Playing slots is fun, but it's been terrible recently. I just lost big time again. Right. As Mom says, choosing the venue is important, right? 4 slots. Absolutely. Picking the right parlor is crucial. It's no good in the middle of the day. You have to line up first thing in the morning. Ahahaha. As I continued to talk to my sister, more and more discrepancies emerged from my mother. She seemed to be scrambling for excuses, but she couldn't come up with anything coherent. All she could do was give a forced smile. So, Kelly, which private university did you go to? I'm not as smart as you, so I went straight to work after high school. But that didn't last long. I've been sending more money because Mom said you. We're going to a private women's college, Women's University. A girl with my grades couldn't possibly attend such a fancy women's college. That's right. It's good you're still so natural. What's going on, Mom? What could be going on? My mother had gambled away all the money I sent. Gambling, naturally, involves wins and losses. There may be times when she won, but mostly, they were losses. Casino, in particular, is designed so that about 10% of people win. That means 90% lose. My mother and sister, having turned into gambling addicts, had lost their ability to make rational decisions, and were nearly at the point of mental breakdown. Mom, here, this is for you. A souvenir. What is it? This envelope? Is it a bundle of money? That's so generous. What are you talking about? It's a record of your actions for the past 3 months. Record of actions? My mother and sister intensely examined the contents of the envelope. It was filled with photos showing just how much they had been indulging in casino over the last 3 months. My fiancé's suggestion was to hire a private detective. They frequented the casino parlors almost daily, winning a little only to lose a lot. They had even started borrowing from payday loan services. Mom, If you and Kelly were planning to scam money from me, you should have coordinated your story better. By now, Kelly has told me almost everything, and it was all too sloppy. I was grateful for being sent to the Ivy League of Foreign Studies, knowing full well that it was all paid for with the inheritance Dad left us. I felt indebted to both you and Dad, which is why I kept sending money, never imagining it was being used this way. You've deceived me for 20 years. Rachel. I'm sorry. I'll stop playing slots, I can't win anymore. Please, forgive me. Me too. You're all I have, big sister. Slot is fun, but I'll quit. Why don't you two get serious jobs? So, if we get serious jobs, will you start sending money again? What? I was astonished by their response even now. You'll send us money, right? Otherwise, we can't get out of this cycle of debt. If you say you won't send money, I'll come to your house to take it. Surely our kind big sister will help us. We're family, after all. That's impossible. What? Pedro, come here. I called over my fiancé, who had been waiting nearby. Hello. Who is this? This is Carlos, his nickname is Los. We met at the company. And we just got married recently. I was going to introduce him to you, Mom and Kelly, but well, it turned out like this. I think this is enough. Los is very clear about yes and no, and he says he can't be family with people who are dishonest about money, so at the same time as introducing him, we've come to cut ties with you. How can you decide such a thing on your own? Los, please tell them in English. With a smile, my fiancé Carlos explained to my mother and sister. Ending ties with money is ending ties with us. This is common in the world. The end. My mother and sister listened with their mouths agape. What is he saying? If you don't understand, look it up in a dictionary. Bye then. Wait, Rachel. Rachel. Carlos and I caught a taxi and left the scene. For me, it was a final tour of the local sites. Carlos was delighted. After thoroughly enjoying our sightseeing, we took the train back. My estranged mother and sister ended up selling the house. My father left to pay off debts. But the property value was too low to sustain a decent living. They moved into a shabby apartment and tried to get by with part-time jobs. But their gambling habits didn't fade, accelerating their cycle of debt. It was an incurable disease. My husband Carlos, an executive at the trading company I work for, had finished his assignment in America and was finally taking me back to his native Spain. I had always dreamed of living abroad, though I converse with my husband using a mix of English and Spanish. When meeting people in Spain, it's purely in Spanish. The Spanish I learned is different in pronunciation from the Queen's Spanish spoken in Spain, akin to the difference between standard and countryside. Carlos had often pointed this out before we married, but he now says it has improved greatly. Language is indeed deep. Without the monthly remittances I was able to save, I still work at the company while dealing with American clients through. Fortunately, my husband detests gambling. Money earned through gambling vanishes as quickly as it comes, he says. Money earned through hard work is clean money, which anyone would use carefully. Carlos and I share similar values about money, like turtles. We save steadily and avoid wasteful spending. In today's uncertain world, you never know when you might need a substantial amount of money. For my happiness and for my family, I plan to treasure clean money even more.